Good morning and welcome back to Plannercraft. I'm Natalie and I'm going to be doing a little bit of stamping, playing with some die cuts and generally creating frames with our scan and cut today. So first of all, morning Delcy, and I'll just wait for a few others to join me before I get started. So what you're going to need today is some stamps, some die cuts that you've already cut out, a watercolour pencil, which is handy for marking guides and things, but you can also use an erasable pen if you prefer. Morning Deb, and a stamp platform. So just wait for everybody to join. We should be live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch. So we'll see how everybody's going. Seems very quiet today. So don't be afraid to jump in today and suggest things or ask questions. So Friday's always a bit more fun and a bit more free flowing. Okay. I presume chat is okay. Morning Thea. Maybe that we're missing some coming through. So if I've missed your name and you said hi, sorry, I'll say hi. But without too much further ado, I'm going to get started. So first of all, when we're creating frames, there's two ways we can do it. We could use a stencil as a basis, or we can get a scan and cut to draw us a guide. So you can put your watercolour pencil into your scan and cut if you wish, or an erasable pen. So the pilot frictions fit, as do the Papermate replays. And good morning Carol. So for today I'm going to go with a stencil, just because it saves a bit of room on the desk. And I'm going to use one of the drawing templates from Pretty Get Gritty. Now I'm going to try and stay a bit further in, just so that we've got plenty of room for our stamps. I'm going to lightly draw around my stencil. So the lighter we do that bit, the easier it is to get rid of it. Morning Sally. So if I bring that up, you can see I have a circle. It's a bit hard to see when it's down there. Looks like we've missed a few bits, but nope, they're all there. And I'm working today on some super smooth card from Paper Mill Direct. But any stamping card will do. I'm going to pop it into my stamp platform. Now today I'm going to use a combination of clear stamps. So I've just pulled out some flower stamps and also some normal rubber stamps. So I have these little blossom stamps from Chocolate Boutique. I can't even say it today. Chocolate Baroque. Go back to bed, Natalie. Wake up. Told you, Fridays. So I'm going to start off with the little curve. Now clear stamps usually have a little bit of give in them, but this one's probably a little bit too stiff to get where I wanted to. That's okay, because I can fill out round here so I get a bit more of a circular feel. So press that onto my platform, and I'm going to go for two things about it. I'm going to go for the VersaFine today. It's a bit blacker than my squid ink. Because I know I want to cut this out, you want to make sure that you've got something that is really strong contrast if you're not colouring first. So I'm going to do one where I haven't coloured, and I'm going to do another one where I'm going to colour it in so you can see the difference. Okay, so there's our first image. I'm going to give my stamp a little clean. Just going to use just a dry bamboo cloth because I don't want to get my stamp too wet. It means I'm going to re-stamp it in a minute. I'm going to line that back up this side. Move that out just a little bit. So as I'm doing this, I'm kind of looking where I've already stamped and where my new stamp would kind of aim next. I'm just going to twist that slightly. Excuse my inky fingers. There we go. Give those quickly. So this first one I'm going to do all with clear stamps. Oh, a little bit missed just on that end there. There we go. Now I'm going to fill in the gaps with some little flower images. So on the same set we have some little flowers and then some bigger ones that we can use as like standalone centerpieces. So I just want to use the little ones to kind of bridge this gap here and here, because what we're looking for is having a continuous black line around both sides. Now there are a couple of breaks in our leaves that we will have to fix, and I'll show you how to fix those in a minute. Somebody else will block on Twitch, yay! Whoever said hi everyone, hi, but we can't see your name. I'm watching on the restream chat, so everything you can see on the video is what I'm seeing. Hi Louise. Hi Mum. You found us eventually. So I'm going to connect these up, and I think I'm going to go this way round. And I'm looking to try and make sure that some point touches both stamped images so we have a continuous black line. So let's go for that there. If you do miss it slightly, don't worry, you can use the same technique as what I'm going to use for the leaves here. Clean your stamp. Okay, now this one's a little bit more tricky because there isn't quite as much room. So we have a couple of options. We can move our stamp inside, or we could just do a partial inking. So I'm going to line this up. Take a note where I want to go to, so literally that first leaf, pick it up, tap it on so it's a bit firm and pressed, but you don't want to push it too much onto your artwork, otherwise you risk leaving an impression when you don't want to. And then just going to stamp that down so that we have a circle. Thank you, Deb. Okay, so at this point you want to grab a fine liner and you want to go as fine as you can. So I have a 0.05 and I'm just going to literally join the dots very lightly, because your stamp lines are always going to be quite fine even if I don't necessarily look it. Okay, so again for this side, don't be afraid to turn your work either, rather than trying to force your wrist round away, it won't go. Now as we're working around the outside, you want to check where you've joined. So that one's okay, and down here, so that's okay. Then we want to go around the inside and make sure there's nothing in there that could be missed. Now with this little bit just here, if I hold it up to the camera, you can see that to the human eye we've got a join. So literally this little tiny flower just there. But I can see that the machine might not necessarily pick that up, so I'm just going to put in a little bit of ink just there. And wherever you do it on one side, check the other, because it may just be that there's a little tiny glitch in the stamp. So there's one there. And up here too. Now because I've done that in VersaFine, I'm going to set that to one side and let that dry. Just it tends to stay a bit wetter than my squid ink. So next, I'm going to get another piece of card, and this time I'm going to go for a different design. So let's go for a diamond, I think. Yeah, let's go diamond. Okay. So there's our guide. Now I'm going to bring in my blossom stamps. Now there's two ways that you could work with these. So if you struggle with the alignment, you can actually use a jelly plate to help you position. So stamp it once onto your jelly, then onto your card. But I'm going to start off by going straight to my card. And we grab a little stamping block. And let's go for tell you what, I'm gonna change my mind, because I'm prerogative and all that. I'm going to make this into a layer rather than a frame. So I'm going to pop something in the middle. So grab a clear stamp. I'm going to squid ink this time so that I can do some colouring. I'm going to pop that into the middle of my diamond, like so. Okay. Now my flowers around the outside, I'm going to go for my bigger clump first and then work my way down. So if we look at this one, and Linda, you were asking about the heart card that I did. This is the one that I used. So that was one half of the heart, and then stamped it onto jelly to get the other half. And I'm going to go for pigment inks so that I can use some colours. So let's go a little bit stronger. So you don't want to go too pale for this technique, otherwise you're going to struggle to get your scan and cut to see it. So I'm going to go shades of purple. So I have eggplant, purple hydrangea and perfect plumeria. Let's start off with a bit of plum. Now my pigment pads are quite old, so they're a bit drier than if you've just got one out, fresh out. So you won't need to ink it as much as what I do. So we have a straight line there. So now what you need to decide is whether you're going to try and keep all your blooms within that diamond, or if you're just going to follow that line as a rough guide. So I'm just going to follow it as a rough guide and stamp it there. Ink it up again. And I'm going to go back there. And again. Okay, so that last impression was a bit pale, but that's okay because we can always draw back into it if we need to. Let's swap to another stamp and another colour. So this time I'm going to go to Eggplant, which is our darkest colour. And then I'm going to infill with the purple. So let's go. Look at your stamp and you'll kind of see where your design sits in reference to your cut shape. So I'm going to go this way around. All pads start to fall apart a bit. And like so. Now I'm going to go to my smaller stamps. I'm going to start to infill a little bit. So I'm just going to trim this one up very slightly, so it's a bit easier for me to see where I'm going. This is where I ping bits of rubber everywhere. Okay. Go for this one. So I try and vary the shades as I go around so that I get a good feel of it being a design that has lots of colours in it rather than it being separate stamps. Let's go in there. One down the bottom. In there. Another one in there. Now I'm going to change to another little stamp. So this just has a single larger bloom on this one. I will put up a link to the stamps as well after in the group. So I've changed my ink pad again. What I would say is don't try and double stamp because it's quite difficult to get it lined up correctly a second time unless you're using the gel plate method. So you'll notice I'm keeping this quite dense. so that I'm slowly losing all the little white spaces that are in between. I'm just going to put one there. One there. Finally I have this little tiny one. And again I'm going to give that another little trim. Changing pad again. I'll have fun trying to find all these little bits of plastic later. There we go. So I'm going to put one just in there. Just in there. Just in there. One in there. So you don't have to do just single impressions. We can actually do two together if you want to, if it fills a certain gap. Let's go one there, down to this bottom point to actually make it go to a little point. Put one in there, let's put one in here. And you can see as you do that, it's going to start building up this border. That's one of the reasons that I love stamps like this, where you've got lots of different sizes that you can play with. Just going to put another one in there. It's just looking a little thin on that side. So I've tried to get it so it's pretty even around the four sides. I'm going to give my stamps a quick wipe. Now I will go back in and actually give these a proper clean with a flannel and just some water. You don't really need that much cleaner for pigment ink. Okay. Hey there. So I'm going to grab a water brush. And let's go for the other one. So if you've seen my review listing for the pastel palette, you'll see I say that I need to do vinyl, and the reason is they all look the same, so I'm going to have to do some vinyl to go on top of these so that I can easily see which one it is. So this is the pastels, and I have a review that will be coming up with the other new set shortly. So I'm going to stick with my purples. My brush is quite wet today. Let's blot that a little bit. So you don't need a lot of water for these ones. Here we go. Still wetter than what I was using at the weekend. There we go. So I'm going to put some in my palette. Might switch brushes just so that I can get some darker colour. I know, darker colour with pastel set, yeah. Okay, let's grab me a brush. It's flying so ridiculous. There we go. So this is more like kind of coverage you can expect. So with the pastel colours, they'll actually knock back any lines that you go over, so you just want to go careful on your painting if you want to keep your black lines black, that you don't go over the top. But these are opaque, so if you want to do techniques over the top of existing watercolour, you can do. One of the things I want to do as a workshop is doing it onto black card too. Okay. So just clean my brush, I'm just going to give it a little dab, get most of it out, and then I can use my sponge. I'm going to go to the lemon. I'm just going to do a little bit colouring in there. So of course yellow is the complementary colour to purple, so it's always going to kind of pop. Hi Beatrice, and hi Karen. Hi Delcy. So I'm even going to come in here, and because we've used that watercolour pencil, we can actually start to go and put background in, and we're going to actually erase our line as we go. So as we start to lose some of the paint in our brush, it's going to get more translucent. Or we can just pick some more up and just go over the top. Now this is stamping card rather than watercolour card, so you want to try and limit how much water you're putting down with your paint. So I'm just going roughly around where my line is, just so I can take that little bit of a line out. It's also going to create a panel for our flower to sit in a bit, so it doesn't look quite so lost and isolated. So I'm just blending that out. So, what crafting have you all got planned for the weekend? Are you all doing something exciting? Something new maybe? I'm just going back in here. Where our little dots have come into our centre section, I'm just going around them. So the other thing to be aware with the pastel palette is that the opacity develops as well. So as it dries, it's going to knock things back. So you'll do your colouring and you think, oh yeah, that's absolutely fine. And then you'll come back and you'll find that if you've gone over your black slightly, you'll suddenly see that there's a lighter patch. And so you can just stamp back over the top if you're using a stamp platform. I'll reintroduce that black line back in. We're also doing a trim craft order, so if there's anything you want from there, do check out the list that I put up last night. very quiet out there today. So I was having a good play with these last weekend actually, and it's one of my favourite ways to unwind is to just do a little bit of painting. So I'm just going to pop back in here and just get rid of that line there, and just there too. The ones that Ray've stamped over the top, we can just get with some clean water once everything else is dried, if you want to. Or you may find that after you've done your cutting out that you can't really see it anymore anyway. So, like I said, these do develop, so don't think that necessarily what you see now is what you're going to get. Just going to soften that down there too. So I'm just going to soften that edge. If you have any areas of stamping that are a little bit more open, you can do that just so it looks like it fades back out rather than just having a hard line. Like so. And I'm just going to let that dry for a short while. So while we're waiting for that, are there any questions about anything that we've covered this week? Yep, the animal in triangle is cool. So, also, I didn't get a chance to show it on stream last night, but if you really want to get into it, then you can actually do ink shading around the edges, which really helps them to pop. If you look on a lot of the die cutting companies' websites, they'll actually do that to help you see the design better, and it just gives it that extra touch of polish. So you can do that with distress inks, blending inks. And I've actually been testing out some new blending brushes as well to show you. So hopefully I can bring those sort of in the next couple of weeks or so. Okay. So moving to the scan and cut, I'm going to turn it on. Slightly, there we go. Now, I always take my blade out for this bit, just to save it possibly damaging the blade. On the CMs it does actually risk chipping your blade if you leave it in, so always remove it. Okay. So when we're scanning, we want to actually move it so that it is sitting just inside. So I'm going to be using this inch line in so that we've got plenty of room. That's no good, Tracy. You could at least pass me some. I almost tempted to move the bagels before I went live. So Ian's been naughty and snuck me something in. So I'm going to load my mat. If it's going to behave. It's definitely getting to that point where it's like new mat time. Come on. It's my own fault because I said, you know, it doesn't play me up on string. It's been good. Famous last words and all that. Come on. Nope, you're not going to have it today, are you? Come on. There we go. We get something to it. Ooh. You can keep the avocado, Tracy, but poached eggs, yeah. I do love a good poached egg. Ian's very good at it, considering he doesn't like eggs and he doesn't eat them. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to go close camp, and let's just move that over slightly just because where the chat is. There we go. So I'm going to go to scan, direct cut, and this time I'm going to get the machine to do it. I'm going to go colour because I'm working with something that has areas of low contrast. So I'm ignoring whether there's high contrast in areas. If there's anywhere where there's a bit of low contrast, then you're going to want to go colour. Scanner lever. It's because I was drawing the other day. There we go. Drop it down. There we go. I don't know, eggs are very good for you. Very, very, very good for you. There are far worse things that you could be living on. So I'm going to frame that image, go OK. So it's just going to look in that area that we've highlighted. A sort of circle. What's a sort of circle? Okay, so if I zoom in, we can see that it's picked up our lovely yellow instead of picking up where the purple is. So if we go OK, I'm going to go to my little gradient and I'm going to take that down to 2 and preview. So I'm going to make it think. Now sometimes you're better going low and other times you'll be better going high. So see, because we've gone to 2, it's done a really good job of if you just wanted to lift the yellow out of the section at the middle. So if you wanted to do a frame in that sense of the word, then you could do that, then take out that centre section, rescan it and go around the outside. So, should I do that actually? Yeah, go on. Let's go the other way around. I was going to go around the outside, but let's go around the inside. So I'm going to go OK. Because we can still do funky things with that. I'm going to drop in my vinyl blade because it's quite intricate. And if we go to edit, it's going to give us our normal view for scrolling through shapes. So we can see if there's anything that is a bit weird. So we've got this big shape but we've got this little shape here. So we'll take the little shape out, okay? And then everything else is all one shape. This could be interesting. So if it all goes wrong, doesn't matter. It's just a piece of card. A little bit of time and we can do it again. Make sure that half cut is off. Pressure is -5, speed is 1. And off we go. Now just because my mat's getting a little bit long in the tooth, I am going to help it out a little bit by holding on to it. So if I go to overhead, let's take that down so you can see a bit better. The sticker course is next weekend, so it's the 22nd. Or round to Louise's for eggs. I love eggs. Poached, boiled, scrambled, makes no difference to me. So the blade I'm using is the vinyl blade, so hence it has the light blue cap. So what you want to get used to doing is identifying your blade by the colour of the cap. So the black one is the standard auto blade, and then there's a beige one which is for your thinner fabrics. Okay, so let's see if that cut okay. Oh, not bad, not bad, not bad. So I'm going really careful to take this off the mat because we're going to have lots of intricate little pieces. I'm also making sure that I keep that pressed down as I'm removing it, so that if there had been any sections that I hadn't cut, I could have stopped, put it back down and then recut it. But as it is, we have our outside frame and then we have our inside. So what we can do with that is we can actually start to play with it a little. So if I get my little spatula, I'm going to very, very carefully remove this from my mat. So again, there's lots of little thin intricate pieces, so you want to go really careful. So I'm using a metal spatula rather than the plastic one that comes in with the machine itself, because otherwise I find it can pull up the corners of some of your more intricate shapes. I'm just going really careful, just making sure that I support everything as I'm pulling it away from that mat so that we don't lose any little tiny pieces. Okay. Now this little bit just here, just going to try and release that. There we go. And there we go. Ta-da! So I'm going to grab, she says, a purple bit of card so that I can do a little layer to go underneath. I think that one would look nice together. So again, I'm going to put that in an inch. Like so. I'm going to go back to my coast cam. I'm going to go OK. Go back. And we can go to our offset. Now we want to offset inside so that we have a little bit of a border. So to do that we can go minus. And it doesn't have to be a lot. So if I go, you can just see that it just tweaks it just a little and a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to go OK. OK again. And back to cut. So, does a goose egg taste different to a chicken egg? Because I imagine it would, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't fancy an ostrich egg, I have to say. Okay. So very carefully. Remove that from that. So this is the bit we're going to be using. And I can line that up on there. So it's given us just a little bit of a outline. And it's going to help reinforce all these little fine bits of our frame. Like so. Then when we pop our other bit underneath, it's going to help tidy that up so it's going to look nice and neat and 3D. Ta-da! So again, I will do a assembled version of these so that you can actually see what they look like when they are all done. So this centerpiece we don't need, so we can just get rid. Try and get any sort of debris off your mat as you go. Come on. So I'm going to go back to my other frame, so this should be dry by now. I'm just going to pop that on. Let me show that again. I forgot to press my button. So let me go back overhead. There we go. So we have our frame with our slight border. So that's going to help reinforce these bits here. Then we have our other bit that's going to pop just behind. And then when it's all stuck together, it's going to look nice and neat and 3D. Which is cool. So going back to scan cut, I'm going to go OK and reset by going to the home button. I'm going to go back to scan, direct cut. Now this time it's black and white, so I'm going to go on the machine, change the mode, go to black and white, go OK, and start. So one of the questions I get asked really often is which way round do I prefer working? Do I prefer to colour then cut or cut then colour? So I prefer to colour then cut usually. I just find that it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to move these guides in. Like so. So it's just focusing on that reef section. I'm going to go preview. And it hasn't done a bad job. So if I zoom in and zoom in some more, you can see that outside line a little better. Now, direct cut is really good for where we want to just cut around the outside of things, but what about if you want to get to that inside bit too? So there is a little way that we can get around and we can actually fool this a little bit. So what we want to do is make it look at that inside section first, then cut that out and then do around the outside. Or you can do the outside then the inside, but typically it's easier to do it the other way around. So at the moment it's doing a pretty good job of going all the way around the outside. And I'm going to put on a little bit of a border, so that's going to help where we have thinner stems and the points of leaves and things. By doing an offset, it just helps keep it that bit stronger. So, okay. If we go okay, so you can do that using your offset function. I'm going to go positive because this is the outside. Go okay. And try and remember what amount that you did as well. So I'm going to go okay. And let's cut that one out. Now, if you don't like how much of an offset you've put on, by starting bigger, you're giving yourself room to actually cut inside if you want to take it a bit narrower. Let's go overhead. There you go. So you can see there how much of an offset we have at the moment. So offset is really down to personal preference. But if you look at things like the stem there, it's giving it a good strong basis to actually cut out from. Now, before I go to the inside bit, I've just noticed a little bit with these leaves. So this leaf just here doesn't quite connect, so I'm just going to go and pop that back in. So because I've changed something, I will have to rescan. Okay. So, going back to close cam, I'm going to go OK, home. Then I'm going to, let's peel off that outside because we don't really need it on there anymore, as we're rescanning anyway. So I go to scan, direct cut, use the machine again, and I'm going to stay with black and white. Another one that next to the first one you did. You're going to have to explain that one, Tracy. You've lost me. It doesn't take much. It's a Friday. Okay, so we're going to go OK. Now we're going to pull that right in. And in again. So what we want to force it to do is to actually look at the centre of that shape. So let's zoom in. It's not quite getting to see what I wanted to see just yet. So let's try preview and see if we can get that to figure it out. Oh, that's a little bit more promising. Now, if you can't get it to do it, then there are other ways. Okay, I'm still not happy with that. So, I'm going to come back out of it. I'm going to go to scan to cut data. And let's do black and white again. Alright, okay, yeah. Let's have a look then. So these ones here. I think that one's okay up there now. Check all those. Now, just because I've changed it, I will go back and rescan it. So go home, okay. Scan to cut data and start. Now, when we're doing this, what you need to bear in mind is that when you're using scan to cut data, it's going to be a file that you save and then cut. So as long as you don't move or remove your mat in that time between doing it, then it's fine. But as soon as you do it, particularly with some companies, you need to be deleting that file. Okay, so I want to go outside and inside. I'm going to shrink this down. Go to preview. Okay. So if you think it's picking up too much, you can actually do your contrast. So I think it's been a bit too clever, to be honest. Let's try that. So you set your contrast, then preview it, and it's going to think about it. That'd be really nice actually if you did like a script word across the middle. You know, when you're looking at something, you're thinking, rotate it round a bit and put it that way. So if you put it in there, so if it won't work, then I might do that, just because. But it's still thinking about it. Yeah, I'll get there eventually. Okay, she says. On the other hand, maybe not. Okay, let's go up the other end of the scale then. Because really, there's only one line for it to find. Is whether it can find it. See, that's not so bad, but it's still not quite there. It's missed out a little bit in here. So if I go OK, let's have a look, see if I can see that a bit better. I'm going to save it to my machine. I knew it was going to do that. Right, save it to my USB then. So it's number 40. I'm going to go home. Okay. Retrieve. USB. And number 40. Let's zoom in and see how it did. So we can see that there are some bits where it's done really well. Now if we wanted to draw that reef again, it is not far off, but it's missing bits out of this centre section. So I don't think, I could be wrong. Let's see if we can manage it. So I want that one, but I want to get rid of everything else. So if we move that, then we're going to lose our alignment here. But what I am going to do, if I go Object Edit, I'm going to go to my offset function. It's not going to do it. Come on. That's naughty of it, isn't it? It doesn't want to do it. I think the word welcome too, yeah. Let's go for it. Means it's going to be naughty. So I'm going to just clear that off and just bin it. Go away. Go on. And let's go to actually, why am I struggling to do it with something that's on the machine? Let's go for something a little bit different, a bit more fun, shall we? Let's go. Let's bring you back up there a second. Okay. Come on. Up, up, up. There we go. I'm going to go for the one you want. It's always the one at the bottom. Kelly Creates. Because there's more likely to be a word welcome on here than there is on the machine. So I'm just going to pop that into the USB. Let's go back to close cam. Go to retrieve data, USB, SVG because we want it to draw. We don't want alphabets, we want words. Let's try basics. Oh, not welcome. How about peace? Peace might be nice. Because then you could have your... Yeah, I'm going to go with peace. Just what Natty needs, a bit of peace. I'm going to do a background scan. Because we want it to align onto something else. going to turn my background scan up a bit so I can see it nice and clearly. I'm going to go to Edit and zoom in. I can move my piece so it's more or less in the right place. If I go OK, Object Edit, first of all I need to rotate it. So I'm going to do it in 10-degree increments to start with, and then I can always nudge it by 1 degree if I need to. I'm just going to resize it, so I bring that down a little bit. Now I'm going to zoom back in to just see how that's working out with my lines. So bear in mind that although it's black on the screen, it's not actually going to do anything with that old stamping. So we need to rotate it around a little bit more to get it where I want it. Also need to resize it a bit more. So Object Edit, resize, do your resizing first. Bit more, bit more, bit more, bit more, bit more, bit more. Okay, okay, zoom in again, get it nice and big, scroll down, and there we have our little nudge keys that we can use to put it where we want it. Come on, there we go. Just trying to judge the angle, it's always a bit difficult when you've got something rotated. Let's go for it there, so let's go, okay. Okay, take out the blade, and I'm going to go for I was tempted then to do some embossing, but I'm going to be good. Just because I haven't got a lot of room on my desk. And embossing with not a lot of room is asking for issues. And I'm going to go to a Zebra Serrata with my normal rubber pen holder. And what colour? Oh, given that we've had a bit of a purple theme, let's go purple. Oh, brand new pen. So when you get these, it's just got a little bit of a wax tip on that we just need to pull off. Yeah, I haven't turned my beep off on my DX. I'm quite turned off on the TM. For whatever reason, I haven't done it with the DX. There we go. So I'm just going to give that a gentle tug and make sure that it's seated. I'm also going to give it a little scribble. So I'm just going to use just because it's a new pen, it's a good idea to make sure that it is free flowing and gives you an idea on how to set your ink then too. So I'm going to go OK, and I want to draw. Speed 1, pressure -1. It's probably about right. Let's go for it and see how we go. Now, because we've done the scanning, it's going to want me to lift the lever. Go OK, and off we go. So with a new pen, you may find that you need to do it a couple of times just to get a nice line. Okay, so once more we're feeling. So Ian's got his first set of later finishes coming up. So what we'll do when he does that is we'll actually probably go live a bit earlier so that he can come on stream, which will be cool. Okay, so we have our piece, and it's still got a few little bits and pieces missing, but I don't mind doing those by hand. So at this point I'm going to take out my pen holder, and we could even put in some additional little flourishes and things if we wanted to at this point, and do it with a different pen, but I think I might save that for another day. So let's put that on there. Reset the camera a little bit. On the wrong. Let's go to that one. It's easier on that side. There we go. I'm going to unload my mat. And just going to finish this off. Again, you want to use a very light touch whenever you're trying to touch in a line that the scanner cut's done. Water brush. Just give my brush a good clean. Just going to soften out that little guideline. One of those ones where it will dry back lighter, so don't look at that and think, oh no, it's going to be marking it. And I'm going to apply some colour as well. So when you see this card all nicely done, you can see that this is all coloured in. And that'll be going up later today. So are there any questions before I go for today? What is the pen? So the pen is a Zebra Sarasa clip 0.7, and you can get them in a pack from Amazon, so I can always pop up the link later. But it had some really pretty colours in the set, so had like a navy, don't think that was one. You got like a chocolate maroon, which was really nice. You had at least one black in there. Then you had like a yellow ochre, and kind of lawn green, and then at least one pink, but which pink I don't know, so I don't want to say for certain. You get quite a few in a pack, and they all fit lovely in the normal rubber holder. You can use them in Carl's holder too, just be careful with the clips, because they can get a little bit caught on there. So it's usually a case of just screw it in a little bit, push the pen in a bit more, then screw it in a bit more. Whose stamp it is? Right, okay, so this one uses stamps from the Pretty Gets Gritty most recent release. And that is Bloom Baby Bloom. Then the other one that I did, so this one, with the little flowers around there, those are from Chocolate Baroque. So I will pop up a link for those as well, so you can get to all of those. Then I also used a stamp from Pretty Gets Gritty, and this one is You Grow Girl. It's one of the stamps from that. So they're both lovely. Both lovely. So what I'll do is I'll hop off stream very quickly before Ian finishes for lunch. I'm going to pop that together as a card so you can see how it looks when it's all done. So take care for now, and I will see you Tuesday at 11. I will pop up a listing of what we will be doing throughout the week, because that's made life a lot easier for us this week. If there's anything in particular that you would like to see, then please let me know. Aside from that, I think we could be doing a bit of drawing next week. Just a bit. So, take care and bye.